Hello, UCAR. That's a pretty excitable hello there. That's because I'm excited about what we're talking about today. Peter Christensen coming to you from the CEO's desk. I'm going to talk to you today about something near and dear to my heart, and that is a court case. This is a Supreme Court case from the state of Utah that came down last year. So let me lay it out for you. The facts of the case were as follows. So you had a business. The name of the case is SMS Financial versus CBC LLC. It's a lot of C's. That might have been their problem. So CBC LLC, it's fun to say, had some property. They got themselves in a little financial trouble and were sued by SMS Financial. And in the meantime, and they got a judgment against them in Nevada. And in the meantime, they went and attempted to sell the property. Well, SMS Financial, who won the case, was in the process of getting the judgment recognized in the state of Utah and then getting a lien placed on that property so they could capitalize and try to collect on that. And before they could do that, CBC LLC went under contract with an individual to sell that piece of property. So under contract, sale not done. Judgment gets recognized in Utah, lien gets slapped on the property. And SMS Financial, with their lien, said, hey, we want to stop this sale from happening and we want to capture the property, or the proceeds at least. And so it went to court and ultimately went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you know what, we're not going to allow SMS Financial to keep the lien on that property, tie that property up, and ultimately stop the sale to the purchaser. Now, why was their justification? Because they said by going under contract with the REPC, the the buyer of the property, the purchaser, has a legal right to that property. And they call it equitable conversion, the doctrine there, that now the buyer has a legal right to that property. Previous to this case, that doctrine had only applied to installment contracts, so seller financing. They'd said, well, yeah, that's an ongoing sale. It's not really finished until the last payment's made, but we recognize that somewhere in there, the buyer gets legal rights to the property even though they don't have the deed yet. In this case, they said, you know what? We're going to apply that same doctrine because we believe the REPC gives the buyer enough right. Why? Because they can sue for specific performance. So what does this mean? Why is this important? Why am I talking about this? This is important because it cements the rights of a buyer. It shows the state of Utah that the Supreme Court believes that REPC gives the buyer a pretty powerful position, indeed a legal right to that property. And they based it all on the fact that the buyer, if something went wrong, and the court recognized, there's contingencies in there. And the plaintiff argued, hey, there's too many outs in that contract. It's not a real solid contract. I've heard people say that in classes I've taught. It doesn't mean anything because the buyer can back out for several reasons. And the court said, you know what? The buyer still has the right, if this goes south, if the seller breaches the contract, still has the right to sue for specific performance, which means they have a legal right to that property the moment they go under contract, even though they do have outs throughout. And I would suppose if they exercise the right to bail based on finance condition or due diligence, that then the court would probably allow SMS Financial to exercise their lien against the property because that legal right would now disappear. But as long as it's there, the court said, hey, That is a powerful right. It's a very recognizable real right that the buyer has a legal right to that property. So, pretty cool. I find it interesting. I might from time to time throw in a video about a Supreme Court case that affects residential real estate, because I think it's good to know this kind of stuff. So hopefully you find that interesting. If you have thoughts about it, comment below. Otherwise, have a great day.